Chapter 9, Hollow Roots, Part 1, Burnout and Backroads. The phone buzzed on the nightstand like it was embarrassed to be calling. Tim blinked awake, groaned. Mist was already sitting up beside him, staring at the phone like she'd been waiting for it to ring. Unknown number. He almost let it go to voicemail. Then he saw the area code. Michael. Tim sat up, rubbed his eyes, and answered, "Yeah? Wow, you still alive?" Tim smiled. "Barely." Michael's voice was warm, familiar. No static, no tension, just the kind of voice Tim hadn't heard in too damn long. "I figured you were either writing the next big expose or dead in a ditch." Tim leaned back against the motel headboard. Bit of both. A pause. Then, "You okay?" Tim hesitated. "Working, a lot. Not the kind of stuff I can talk about." "That's your line for everything." "I know." Mist walked across his lap, tail high, and curled up again like the conversation made her anxious. "I'm not calling to pry," Michael said. "Just, we're doing a thing this Friday. Nothing big. Just dinner. Me, Lucy, Elle, maybe some friends. You should come." Tim exhaled slowly, still not great with people. "That's why I'm inviting you." He didn't answer right away. Michael filled the silence. "Just think about it. You could use a normal night. Hell, I'll even make lasagna." Tim chuckled. "You burned it last time, I've learned." Another pause. "Text me the address," Tim said. Michael sounded like he was smiling. "I will." They hung up. Tim sat there a long moment, phone resting on his chest, Mist watching him without blinking. Then he opened his laptop. No new cases in his inbox, except one. Subject: my brother disappeared. Body: not a missing person. Not really. He walked into the mine. They took him. The mine's closed, but it still knocks. If you're reading this, please help me save my brother. No name, just a GPS pin. Coordinates near a dying coal town 2 states east. Tim stared at the screen, one hand resting on Mist's back. The clicking of her tail slowed. Let's go hear what the dirt has to say. Part 2. Old Dirt, New Graves. Red Pine wasn't marked on most maps. You had to look for it on truck stop bulletin boards or in the footnotes of abandoned mining claims. The road curved like it didn't want to find the place, and by the time Tim reached the edge of town, the sun was low enough to cast everything in rust. Mist was awake in the passenger seat, perched on the folded hoodie he used as a buffer between her and the world. She didn't make a sound, just stared through the windshield at the quiet main street that looked like it had been evacuated mid-century. Tim pulled into a parking lot beside a faded diner. The neon sign just said, "Din," the rest long gone. He let the engine run for a moment, then cut it. The silence hit hard. No traffic, no birds, just the faint creak of a sign swaying somewhere overhead. The inn sat at the end of the block, 2 stories, vinyl siding yellowed by time, and a row of wind chimes on the porch that didn't chime. Inside, the lobby smelled like mold and pine-scented cleaner. The clerk didn't ask questions, just handed over a key with a sticky label that said Room 4, and never looked up from the tiny black and white TV on the counter. Tim carried Mist inside and locked the door twice. He set her down, opened the window for a sliver of air, and sat at the small desk beneath the faded mirror. Pulled out his notepad. Red Pine, Pop, 300E. Former coal town, collapsed economy in the 80s. One mine still technically listed as private property, no active operations since 92. 5 disappearances over the last decade, none resolved. Last, 17-year-old male, 3 weeks ago. He looked out the window. The forest crept right up to the edge of the buildings like it had been waiting for the town to die. He'd seen that before, back in Ridgewater, back where the fog knew your name. Tim closed the notebook. He needed someone who remembered the past, not just the headlines. The next morning, he found Caleb at the auto yard just outside town. Skinny kid, grease under his nails, dark curls tucked under a hoodie. The same one from the forums. "You're him, right?" Caleb asked. "The guy that handled the tree thing, the mirror woman, all that." Tim nodded. "You emailed me." Caleb didn't smile. "They think I'm cracked, that my brother ran off, but I know what I saw." "What did you see?" Caleb looked toward the mountains. The mind shifted, like it breathed, and it started knocking again. Tim waited. Caleb pulled something from his pocket, a cassette tape. It knocked 3 times every night, and the night Eli disappeared, it knocked 4. Tim took the tape. "You want to take me there?" Caleb nodded once. "They say the shaft collapsed in 92, he said. "But the mine didn't close, it just went quiet." Tim felt the weight of that, the kind of quiet that eats people. Mist would not like this one. He already didn't. Descent. The mine entrance wasn't sealed. That was Tim's first red flag. No lock, no fencing, no posted warnings. Just a yawning mouth of reinforced wood and rusted rails, half swallowed by blackberry vines and time. A plastic sign dangled from one nail. Danger. Unstable shaft. Entry prohibited. Tim turned to Caleb. This ever stop you? The kid gave a tired smile. Stopped everyone else. They stood at the mouth of Red Pine Mine with backpacks half full and nerves fully stretched. Tim carried a flashlight, rope, flare gun, and his usual kit: salt, iron rod, chalk, and a silver blade strapped to his ankle. Caleb had a flashlight and stubbornness. Just the first level, Tim said. We map what we can. No hero runs. No splitting up. Caleb nodded. Copy that. They stepped into the dark. The air changed immediately, damp, thick, and mineral sharp. The walls exhaled cold. Tim flicked on his light. Wooden support beams loomed overhead, some bowed and splintered. The mine didn't groan like he expected. It pulsed, faint, rhythmic, like distant breathing muffled by rock. Mist would have hated this. They passed a rusted cart tipped on its side, a few cracked helmets, spray paint scrawled over the walls, names, dates, a crude devil face. Tim stopped, shined the beam on a newer marking scratched into the stone, fresh, shallow, just days old. Stay out! I'd eats. Friendly neighborhood welcome, he muttered. Caleb was already ahead, crouching near a pile of gravel. It caved in here before, he said. This was open. You could walk clean through last year. Where does it lead? To level 3. Tim crouched beside him, brushed at the rocks. They were blackened at the tips, not from soot, burn marks. Controlled collapse. You think your brother made it down there? Tim asked. Caleb's face tightened. I don't think. I heard him. The night he vanished, I came down here. I followed his voice for almost 20 minutes. Thought I was losing it. Tim's flashlight flickered. He smacked it once. You hear it down here now? Not when I'm alone, Caleb said. Tim frowned. What happens when you're not alone? As if summoned, a faint sound echoed from below. Knock. Then again, knock. Caleb stood up slowly, eyes wide. It's starting early. Tim pulled out a piece of chalk and marked the wall with a thick symbol, one of Lenora's, a protection rune, half folk, half wish. You ever see anything down here? Caleb hesitated. Shadows, but not mine. They are moving strangely. The air grew colder. Tim stared down the half-collapsed shaft. Something was waiting down there. Not a ghost, not a legend, something hungry. Part 4. The Hollow Ones. The shaft narrowed the deeper they went. Tim's boots crunched on damp gravel and brittle wood. The smell of mildew thickened. His light kept catching on jagged shapes in the walls. Roots, maybe. Or bones. It was hard to tell and harder to want to. Every 20 feet he marked the tunnel with chalk, just in case. Behind him, Caleb walked in slow steps, flashlight low. They didn't talk much. Words felt dangerous. Knock. The sound came again. Closer now. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just deliberate, like fingernails on hollow wood. Tim paused, scanning the tunnel ahead. It's not echo, Caleb whispered. It knows where we are. The path split, left, a deeper slope into blackness, right, a broken track and a partial collapse, wooden beams bent inward. Tim turned left. Wait, Caleb said, grabbing his arm. That's where he went. Tim narrowed his eyes. You followed him that far? Caleb didn't answer, just nodded. They moved on. The air grew damp, soggy earth underfoot, breathing in slow pulses. Faint warmth came from the rock itself, like something deeper down was exhaling. Then Tim's light hit something unnatural. A boot, half buried in silt, the kind a teen might wear, a red lace, frayed and snapped. Caleb dropped to his knees. It's his. Tim scanned the surrounding dirt. No bones, no drag marks. He turned slowly. That's when they saw the scratches on the tunnel wall. Not claw marks, not tool-made. They looked carved, crude handprints pressed again and again into the rock, and inside them something glinted. Teeth. Human. Embedded into the walls like they'd been forced there. Then, a voice. Caleb. Soft. Familiar. It's me. Caleb froze. Tim grabbed his shoulder. Don't. Caleb's eyes brimmed. That's him. That's Eli. No, it's not. I'm cold, the voice said. I'm hurt. Please. It was close. Too close. Tim stepped forward, beam aimed down the tunnel, and there, just ahead, a figure. Slender, pale, barefoot, face turned away, crouched near the wall, clothes tattered, hanging loose. Eli? Caleb whispered. The figure twitched, then stood, jolted upright like a puppet on strings. Tim raised his flare gun. Don't. The thing turned. Its face didn't turn. The body moved. The face stayed still, like it had been carved into stone. Mouth wide, no eyes. just hollow sockets packed with dirt. The voice came again, but the lips didn't move. Caleb, I'm so hungry. Tim fired. The flare hit the wall above the creature, blinding red light filling the shaft. The thing screeched, a scraping metallic howl that cracked through their ears like a mine collapse in reverse. It dropped to all fours and charged. He was gone. Whatever wore him, it wasn't him anymore. Caleb didn't flinch, didn't cry. He just nodded, once shallow, like a signal given to no one in particular. Tim leaned back in the creaking motel chair, bones aching. Mist finally shifted, curling tighter, but still watching Caleb. Whatever these things are, Tim said, they hide in places that remember pain. Old mines, burnt churches, forgotten houses. They wait in the cracks. Caleb's voice came out hoarse. You gonna stop all of them? Tim didn't answer right away. He picked up his journal, flipped past pages scrawled with old rituals, sketch symbols, half-legible names. He stopped on a blank page. Wrote, Case 9, Red Pine Mine. Entity, Knocker. Possible Hollowborn variant. Behavior, mimics voices, inhabits abandoned spaces, feeds on memory and loss. Signs, knocking sounds, cold air pulses, shadow displacement. Weaknesses, fire, salt blood mix, light-based disorientation. Recovered artifact, veined stone heart. Status, destroyed, partial. Survivor, Caleb M., physically unharmed, psychological state uncertain. He paused, then added, some things wear grief like a mask. Others feed it to you, piece by piece. He clicked the pen closed. Outside, the wind had picked up. Mist stretched and jumped down, pawing once at the closed door, then sitting beside it. Tim looked at Caleb. You want to stay, you stay, but if you go, I'd go far. Caleb stood. Quiet. I've got a cousin out west. Might hitch that way. Tim nodded. As Caleb turned to leave, he stopped at the door. That thing, it ate the flash, the lights. That's how it trapped him. Tim's head tilted. The flash? Caleb looked at him, dark eyes wide. From the camera. He took pictures before he disappeared. Said the thing hated it. Said it made them collapse like they weren't finished. Tim sat forward. They collapse? Caleb nodded. Small, fast, and then they eat. He left without another word. Mist padded over, brushed against Tim's leg, and jumped into his lap. Tim exhaled, opened a new page. Note, exposure to high-intensity light disrupts form stability. He circled the word, collapse, then underlined it twice. Outside, the motel sign flickered, the road stretched ahead, and something deep in the hills knocked, once. But only once, just not the way you hoped. Caleb nodded once. Quiet. Then, you think there are more? Tim met his eyes. If there are, they'll be deeper, older, and they won't all wait to be found. He didn't stay the night. Too much blood in the walls. He left Caleb with contact info. Emergency number only. No promises. Just, if it knocks again, tell me first. That night, Tim pulled off the road into a gravel overlook and sat under the stars. Mist stretched across the dashboard, light tail curled under her chin. He flipped open the journal. Case 9, Red Pine, WV. Entity, Knocker, variant, lures victims via voice mimicry, triggers localized collapses, feeds on flesh. Weakness, light, silver, vibration collapse. Status destroyed, 1. Artifact retrieved, core fragment, stable, unknown function. Risk, possible nest deeper in mind system. Personal, voices don't have to sound convincing. They just have to say what you want to hear. He stared at the page a long time before closing the journal. The wind outside rustled the leaves, high, soft, like breath behind bark. Tim looked at Mist. You ever get the feeling we're not getting out of this clean? She yawned, stared out the windshield, didn't blink.